Well, with me now is Terry Jordan, Operations Manager for the Insurance Council of New Zealand. Look, thanks for coming in to talk to me, Terry. Can you give us an idea, where are insurers at the moment in terms of settling all these claims?
Well, our figures to the 31st of December show that we've got overcap residential claims, 24,000 of those, of which we're 57% through, either cash settled or repaired and rebuilt. We've got 68,000 what we call out-of-scope claims, and those are fences, driveways, pathways, etc. And we're 83% through that. And the commercial claims, we are 84% through that, and we've got 26,000 of those claims.
Goodness, these are quite high numbers, but there's the one that leaps out at you are the over-cap claims. And of course, we're talking private insurance companies here too.
Yes, we are, yeah.
Can you tell me, why is it that the overcap claims are just taking so much longer than everything else?
Well, with the overcap claims, the domestic dwellings, EQC and insurers are on those claims. So that introduces a great deal more complexity in the way that they're handled, and they're the largest claims in terms of time and effort, and reinsurers have told us this is the most complex reinsurance natural disaster recovery ever in the world. So, you know, we've got so many different complexities in this. The ground's shaken for 2 years. We've had to apportion all claims. There is land damage. No one in the world insures land. You know, there are problems with retaining walls. The Port Hills has its problems. Land repair is a major problem as well. So, you know, with these extra complexities, it takes a lot longer.
So now with these, you know, if we're looking at it case by case, are you finding that that some cases are actually falling into the too hard basket? What happens with these people that seem to be still in this limbo land?
Well, every claim has to be settled. So, you know, even the very, very difficult ones, and there are a large number of difficult ones, especially in the shared property area, where you know, different property owners have different ideas on how they'd like the claim settled. So insurers just have to work through that on a case-by-case basis, which, you know, takes a huge amount of time and resource.
How's the relationship going with EQC? Because, of course, for these overcap claims, there's an awful lot of work having to be done between the two of you. Yes,
yeah. EQC and insurers are working together on each claim on an individual basis at claim officer levels, and the process is working really well. There's a huge amount of difference in the way we approach and in the way the insurers' systems provide information and EQC systems provide information, and all these things just add to the extra burden, but yeah, they're managing well.
So do the goalposts move still? I mean, they did an awful lot to start with in that first couple of years, absolutely. But over the last 6 months, are you finding that you're still getting new cases arriving or being handed to you from EQC? How's that working, you know, undercap, overcap? There are still people being, you know, sort of on that fence line. What's happening there? We
started off with the beginning of last year with 22,000 claims, and 2,000 extras came over cap from EQC. So that means EQC shifted them.
That was from last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then in that 12 months, there were 2,000 that came across. So,
right.
You know, that creates a bigger burden on the insurers, as they've got to then get involved with the insured parties and then resolve the claim.
So that's, you know, virtually you're being handed new clients last year, still from the events of 4 years ago.
That's right, and some of those the insurers had no visibility of.
Right, okay.
So, but
they've just appeared out of the blue, and it's like, okay, now we have to deal with them.
That's right.
Okay. It's not simple, is it?
No, it's earthquake. It's definitely not simple.
It's amazing to me when you talk on a global scale, you know, and especially from a reinsurer's point of view, is just how big our little Canterbury, you know, how big a ripple we've caused around the world.
Yeah, it's the third or fourth biggest event around the world, earthquake event, so, you know, it is huge.
Yeah.
They know about us over in Zurich and London and New York. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, Christchurch is now well and truly on the map.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. Can you tell me about living in Christchurch going forward? There are, of course, people rebuilding left, right and centre around the city at the moment. There's still house sales going on. How's new insurance being handled at the moment?
Oh, you're talking about the future insurability of Christchurch, which is really important. And this is a little bit complex because there's been quite a number of cash settlements, and insurers will need to get a view on how these repairs or rebuilds have gone. So once they've cash settled, the customer goes off and does it themselves. So the insurer's focus will be on understanding how the repairs are being carried out and whether the repairs are being carried out, because there have been 300 or 400 houses sold as is where is without the repairs being done.
Actually, that's quite a common real estate catchphrase at the moment, is, you know, for sale as is, where is. Yeah, what happens? What do insurance then turn around and say?
Well, insurers need to satisfy themselves that, firstly they need to discover what damage has occurred, and then they need to know whether that damage has been repaired. So they have to source information from the City Council, from consenting, codes of compliance, things like that. So there's quite a bit of time and effort involved in that, and while that exists, it's going to be difficult for people to switch insurers if they need to, if they want to, and it takes more time in getting insurance.
Right, okay, so definitely if you're doing sale and purchase at the moment, you want to make sure you've allowed yourself enough time. Oh
yes, definitely. You certainly put that as a condition of the contract if necessary.
Yeah, okay, so there are some changes, yeah, for sure. So tell me, looking forward, what do you see as being the biggest issues for your insurers in 2015? The
issues will be the pure volume of work, and that's just reaching crescendo at the moment. So the middle of 2015 it'll peak, I think, and then it'll slowly start to ease down. So the volume of work is probably the main issue. But in terms of problem areas, we've got shared property, which is, it's a nightmare. Basically, a whole lot of attached individual units insured by different insurers, plus EQC involved there, and having to work those problems out is extremely complex. So those are going to be the two biggest problems.
Thanks, Terry. I know we touched a little bit on shared properties at the end of 2014, and I'm quite sure it will raise its head again. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much, Vanessa.
So now, if you've heard anything in today's program that raises issues for you or someone that you know requires some social or advisory assistance, you can contact these agencies. For free and independent advice about your insurance claim, contact the Residential Advisory Service, Community Law, or the Canterbury Insurance Assistance Service. Also, if you or someone you know needs support, social services or help with temporary accommodation, contact the Canterbury Support Line or the Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Service. Join us next week when we'll be looking at retaining walls, we'll be discussing cash settlements, and of course we'll be answering some of your questions.